David's phone screamed at him. 9 minutes. 9 minutes to deliver or lose your gold status. He pedaled harder. Sweat dripped into his eyes. His legs burned like fire. The Chinese food boxes in his backpack smelled amazing, but he couldn't think about food. He could only think about that little gold star on his app, the star that meant good orders, decent money, and maybe, just maybe, enough to pay rent this month. The city didn't care if you were tired. It didn't care if your bike was old and squeaky. It only cared about one thing. Were you fast enough? David turned the corner, so sharp his knee almost hit the ground. 7 minutes now. His daughter Maya's face popped into his head. She was only 6 years old, with pigtails and a smile that could light up the darkest room. Last week, she'd asked why they ate pasta 5 nights in a row. Because pasta is an adventure, sweetie, he'd told her, forcing a smile. Every shape is a different journey. She believed him. Kids believe their dads. That's why the gold star mattered. That's why he pedaled like a madman through streets that smelled like gasoline and fried chicken. 5 minutes. He saw the apartment building, tall gray, covered in old paint that was peeling like sunburned skin. Building 47, apartment 3C. He'd been here before. Lots of times, actually. Always the same order. Soup, bread, sometimes fruit. Always the same customer. Elena. David jumped off his bike and grabbed the food. He took the stairs 3 at a time because the elevator was broken. Again, his heart hammered in his chest like a drum at a rock concert. 3 minutes. He knocked. Delivery. Nothing. He knocked again, louder. Hello? Food delivery. A weak voice came from inside. It's open. That was strange. Customers never left their doors unlocked in this neighborhood. David pushed the door slowly. It creaked like a ghost was pulling it. The apartment was small but clean. A tiny kitchen. A worn couch. And there by the window sat Elena in her electric wheelchair. She looked like a tired angel. Pale skin. Thin arms. Her hands rested on the wheelchair like broken birds. But her eyes were bright and sharp, like she could see right through your soul. On the table, please, she said quietly. David put the bag down. His timer buzzed. 2 minutes. Great, thank you, he said quickly, turning to leave. Wait. That one word stopped him cold. Elena looked at him with those sharp eyes. Could you help me eat? David froze. His brain screamed to no. Company policy was clear. Deliver food, get signature, leave. Don't enter homes. Don't touch customers. Don't get involved. Getting involved meant complaints. Complaints meant deactivation. Deactivation meant no money. No money meant Maya eating pasta forever. But something in Elena's voice made him look at her hands again. They shook slightly, resting useless in her lap. Her fingers curled inward like flower petals closing at night. 1 minute. David started. His phone buzzed angrily. I really need to confirm this delivery, or I'll... Please. Elena's voice cracked just a little. Not begging. Not demanding. Just asking. Human to human. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. My caregiver quit last week. I can't lift the spoon. David thought his grandmother, Abuela Rosa. She'd gotten sick when he was 12. Couldn't feed herself toward the end. His mom had fed her every single meal with patience and love, even when Abuela's hands shook and soup spilled everywhere. Family takes care of family, his mom always said. But Elena wasn't family. She was a stranger, a customer, a threat to his gold status. His phone buzzed. 30 seconds. David looked at Elena, really looked at her, saw the dignity in her eyes fighting against the helplessness of her body, saw the wheelchair that had become her prison, saw the empty apartment with nobody else to help. He made a choice. He tapped delivered on his phone, saving his gold status by 3 seconds. Then he walked to the table, opened the soup container, and picked up the plastic spoon. Chicken noodle? He asked. Elena's eyes got shiny with tears she refused to let fall. Yes. David pulled up a chair. My name's David. Elena. Nice to officially meet you. Elena. Now, I have to warn you, I'm not a professional. If I spill soup on you, I apologize in advance. A tiny smile appeared on Elena's face. I'll try not to fire you. David dipped the spoon in the warm soup and lifted it carefully to her mouth. She sipped slowly, and he saw her whole body relax like she'd been holding her breath for days. They didn't talk much that first time, just the quiet sounds of eating, spoon dipping, soup sipping, bread tearing. When the food was gone, Elena looked at him. Thank you. No problem, David said, but his heart was pounding. He'd just broken about 7 company rules. If anyone found out, will you come back tomorrow? Elena asked. Same time? I can order again. David should have said no, should have explained about policies and risks and gold stars. Instead, he heard himself say, yeah, I'll come back. And that's how it started. One soup, one choice, one act of kindness that would change everything. The next day, David's phone pinged at exactly 12:47 p.m. New order. Building 47, apartment 3C. Chicken noodle soup, wheat bread, apple slices. Elena. David smiled without meaning to. His co-worker Marcus noticed. Man, why are you grinning at your phone like that? Marcus asked, adjusting his delivery bag. You got a girlfriend ordering food now? Just a regular customer, David said quickly. But Elena wasn't regular. Not anymore. Over the next 3 weeks, their routine became as natural as breathing. David would arrive. Elena would say, it's open. He'd wash his hands, open the containers, and pull up the chair that was starting to feel like his chair. And they'd talk. Tell me about your daughter, Elena said one Tuesday, her voice stronger than that first day. David's face lit up like a Christmas tree. Maya? Oh man, she's incredible. Yesterday, she told me she wants to be an astronaut veterinarian. She'll fix sick animals in space. Elena laughed, a real, genuine laugh that made her whole face change. That's beautiful. The universe needs someone like that. What about you? David asked, carefully guiding a spoonful of soup to her mouth. What did you want to be when you were little? Elena's eyes went distant, like she was looking at something far away. A painter. I wanted to paint the ocean. Every shade of blue, every wave, every moment when the sun hits the water just right. Did you? Paint, I mean. For a while. Before. She gestured with her chin toward her useless hands. Before this. ALS. She'd told him about it during their second meal together. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. A disease that slowly steals your muscles, piece by piece, until your body becomes a cage. Elena explained it calmly, like she was describing the weather. The doctor said I have maybe 2 years left where I can still talk, she'd said. So I'm going to make those words count. David had nearly dropped the spoon. 2 years. This woman who loved the ocean and had sharp, beautiful eyes had 2 years to speak. Then we better have good conversations, he'd said quietly. And they did. Elena asked about his life. David told her about graduating with a graphic design degree, about the dreams of working for a big creative agency, about how those dreams crashed when Maya was born and his girlfriend left. He told her about choosing his daughter over his career, about the mounting bills, about delivery apps being the only work that let him make his own schedule. I don't regret Maya for 1 second, he said firmly. But man, sometimes I wonder what life would have been like if I'd gotten just one lucky break. Elena listened like every word mattered, like he mattered. Luck is just opportunity meeting preparation, she said. You're preparing every day by being a good father. The opportunity will come. David wanted to believe her, but then everything fell apart. It happened on a Thursday. David locked his bike outside a restaurant to pick up an order. He was inside for 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, and when he came out, the bike was gone. Stolen. His stomach dropped to his feet. That bike was everything. His job, his income, his ability to feed Maya. He reported it to the police. They wrote down some notes and basically said, "Good luck, buddy. We got 40 bike thefts this week." Without a bike, David couldn't deliver. Without deliveries, money stopped coming in. He borrowed his neighbor's bike for a few days, but it was too small and kept breaking down. His ratings started dropping. Orders slowed to a trickle. The gold star disappeared. Then came the letter slipped under his door. White envelope, black letters. Eviction notice. You have 30 days to pay $2,400 in back rent or vacate the premises. David sat on his floor and put his head in his hands. Maya was at school. The apartment was quiet except for the sound of his heart breaking. How did he get here? He worked every single day. He skipped meals to make sure Maya ate. He did everything right. But everything right apparently was enough. That afternoon, he showed up at Elena's apartment late, borrowed bike squeaking like a dying mouse. His hands shook as he opened her soup. You look terrible, Elena said bluntly. Thanks, David muttered. Really boosts my confidence. I'm serious. What happened? David didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to burden her with his problems. She had enough to deal with. But Elena's sharp eyes pinned him down. David, talk to me. So he did. Everything spilled out. The stolen bike, the eviction notice, the fear of losing his apartment and having nowhere to take Maya, the crushing weight of trying so hard and still failing. When he finished, Elena was quiet for a long moment. How much do you need? She asked. What? No. Elena, I didn't tell you this to ask for money. I know, but how much? It doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. I always do. David. Her voice turned sharp, commanding. How much? $2,400, he whispered. But Elena, seriously, I can't. You feed me every day, she interrupted. You treat me like a person, not a charity case. You make me laugh. You care about whether I've eaten or if I'm lonely. Do you know how rare that is? David blinked hard. His eyes were getting hot and blurry. Everyone else sees the wheelchair first, Elena continued. They see broken, helpless, burdened. You see me, just me, because that's who you are, David said quietly. The wheelchair is just a chair. You're Elena. You're smart and funny, and you love the ocean, and you have opinions about everything from soup temperature to space veterinarians. Elena smiled, but tears rolled down her cheeks. I can't give you the money. David's heart sank, but he nodded. I understand. It's okay. I shouldn't have. I can't give it to you because I have something better in mind, she said, her eyes gleaming with something that looked almost mischievous. But you have to trust me. Can you do that? David looked at this woman he'd known for 3 weeks. This stranger who becomes something like a friend. Something like family. Yeah, he said. I trust you. Good. Then feed me this soup before it gets cold, and tomorrow everything changes. David had no idea what she meant. But the next day, when he arrived at her apartment, there was a glossy black envelope waiting on the table. His name was written on it in gold letters, and inside was a secret that would flip his entire world upside down. David stared at the black envelope like it might explode. His name glittered on the front in fancy gold handwriting. David Martinez. Open it. Elena said from her wheelchair. Her voice sounded different today. Stronger. Almost powerful. David's hands trembled as he picked up the envelope. It was heavy, like it held something important. Something that would change things. He tore it open carefully. Inside was a check. David's eyes went wide. His mouth fell open. He read the number once. Twice. 3 times, because his brain refused to believe what he was seeing. $50,000. What is this? He whispered. Back pay, Elena said calmly. For 3 weeks of feeding me, caring for me, and treating me like a human being instead of a broken thing. Elena, this is insane. I can't, this is too much. I didn't do it for money. I know you didn't. That's exactly why you deserve it. David's legs felt wobbly. He sat down hard in his usual chair. The check trembled in his hands like a leaf in the wind. I don't understand. How do you have this kind of money? Are you rich? Elena smiled. It was a smile that held secret sadness and something that looked like freedom. David, I need to tell you the truth. My full name is Elena Blackwood. The name hit David like a punch to the stomach. Blackwood. Everyone in the city knew that name. Blackwood Steel. Blackwood Tech, Blackwood Tower. the huge building downtown that touched the clouds. The Blackwood family owned half the city's skyline, and probably a bunch of other stuff, too. You're one of those Blackwoods? David's voice came out squeaky. The only one left, actually, Elena said quietly. My parents died in a car accident 5 years ago. My brother runs the companies now, but I inherited my share. I'm worth about $300 million. The room spun. David gripped the edge of the table. $300 million? Give or take a few million, Elena said with a small shrug. I lose track. David's brain was melting. This woman he'd been feeding soup to, this woman in the tiny apartment with peeling paint and a broken elevator, was a billionaire? Why? He finally managed to ask. Why are you living here? Why are you alone? Where's your family? Your brother? Your fancy caregivers and butlers and whatever rich people have. Elena's face darkened like a storm cloud covering the sun. My brother wants me in a facility, a care home, where I can be managed efficiently, where I won't embarrass the family by existing in public. He says it's for my own good. Her voice turned bitter. He sent caregivers, 5 of them. Each one treated me like a job, a task. They'd feed me without talking, change my clothes like I was a doll, and spend the rest of the time on their phones. When I fired the last one, my brother stopped sending replacements. Said I was being difficult. That's horrible, David said, anger burning in his chest. You're his sister. I'm a problem he wants to hide away, Elena said. So I moved here, to this little apartment my parents bought decades ago as an investment property. I thought if I lived simply, if I stayed off my brother's radar, I could have some peace, some dignity. And you've been ordering food this whole time because I needed to eat and delivery was my only option. Most drivers just left the food at the door. I'd wait hours until my hands cooperated enough to open containers. Sometimes I couldn't, and the food would just sit there getting cold. David felt sick. All those weeks before he met her, Elena had been starving alone, surrounded by hundreds of millions of dollars she couldn't use to buy the one thing she needed. Someone who cared. Then you showed up, Elena continued, and her eyes got shiny. You stayed. You helped. You didn't see dollar signs or pity. You saw me. You told me about Maya and your dreams and your struggles. You made me laugh. David, you gave me back my humanity. A tear rolled down David's cheek. He didn't wipe it away. So here's what I want to offer you, Elena said, her voice turning businesslike. I need a personal caregiver and manager. Someone to help me eat, manage my medical appointments, handle my daily needs, and be my advocate when my brother tries his nonsense. The salary is $150,000 a year, plus full benefits, housing allowance, and Maya's tuition at St. Jude's Academy, the best private school in the city, completely covered. David's heart stopped, stopped again. You'd be an employee, not charity, Elena continued. A real job with a contract and everything legal. You'd work Monday through Friday, evenings and weekends off, so you could be with Maya. You'd have your own office space to do graphic design work, if you want. And David, you'd be saving my life. Because without someone I trust, I'll end up in that facility. Alone. Forgotten. David couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. This was impossible. Things like this didn't happen to people like him. Would you have done the same? Elena asked suddenly. If I'd told you on day one that I was a Blackwood, would you still have fed me? Would you have stayed? David didn't hesitate. Yes, because you needed help. That's all that mattered. Elena smiled, a huge, genuine smile that transformed her entire face. That's why I'm offering you this job. Not because I'm rich and generous, but because you're exactly who I need. Someone who sees people, not paychecks. David looked at the check. At Elena, at the future suddenly opening up like a door he didn't know existed. He thought about Maya getting a real education, about not worrying if the lights would get shut off, about doing work that actually mattered, caring for someone who becomes so much more than a customer. Okay, he said, his voice shaking. Yes, I'll do it. Elena's smile could have lit up the whole city. Excellent. We start Monday. Legal will send over the contracts. Oh, and David. Yeah, I'm still gonna want chicken noodle soup for lunch. David laughed, a real, deep laugh that came from somewhere hopeful in his chest. Deal, but I'm still not doing airplane noises when I feed you. We'll negotiate that later. 3 months later, David sat in Elena's new apartment, a beautiful, accessible space with wide doorways, ramps, and a view of the ocean she'd always loved. Maya was at St. Jude's Academy, already making friends and learning about stars and planets. David had a new bike, a car actually, and an office where he did graphic design work between caring for Elena. But the best part, the part that made everything worth it, every day at lunch, he still pulled up that same chair, opened the soup container, and talked with his friend. Because Elena wasn't his boss. She was family, and family takes care of family. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories about kindness, hope, and the power of seeing people for who they really are. What would you have done in David's position? Tell us in the comments below. Remember, the smallest act of kindness can unlock doors you never imagined. Open your heart and watch the light flood in. See you in the next story.